Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the show. I am super excited to dive into today's conversation with Jai Mayhew. Her work is incredible. It's luxurious and glamorous, and her brand just oozes pure glitz and glamour. I am beyond excited to get to know her and have her share her insight and her wisdom with you. So without further ado, here's Jai. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. Let's get going. All the questions.
Awesome. Tell us who you are and what you're passionate about.
My name is Jai Mayhew. I am officially a fashion and portrait photographer, but I think at the root of all of that, I'm a storyteller. I really gave thought to this leading up to this because on the surface, what inspires me is beauty. On the surface, that's my brand. But really, if you go below that, ever since I was little, I've been a huge fiction bookworm. I've loved, movies that were a little bit of escapism. I think for me, I love creating beauty, but I love creating beauty that tells a story. So with the fashion editorial, you get to create your concept. With a client, you're telling not just a story of who they are, but it's also aspirational, I feel like. So if I lost my camera tomorrow, I would figure out a way to tell stories with paint or something. Like I need a way to take what is kind of in my head and create something that I think is pretty with it.
I love that. So I actually read, I believe you paint and you play piano as well.
I'm a frustrated piano player.
Okay, I love that.
I tried it for a minute. I wish I had stuck with it. I was a singer, and my voice teacher had said, I want you to learn to play enough that you could accompany yourself. And I really did kind of start to enjoy it. And then I think I went away to university or something, and I just stopped. I wish I'd kept it up because I just,
totally.
Love piano. But yeah, no.
I love that. Well, we have a similar story. I took voice lessons. I was in piano. Did you do high school theater as well?
I did musical theater. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
All the things.
Same. I love it. So I love that you translate self-love into art for your clients. And I think as women, it is something that innately most of us really, really struggle with. Now, can you share how you're able to tap into your clients' vulnerability and use it in a way that empowers them to see what amazing women they really are and how stunning they are?
That's a great question. I love that. So I don't try to tap into my clients' vulnerabilities. If anything, I want them to forget about their vulnerabilities when they're with me and see the stronger side of themselves. It does help me as an artist and as a businesswoman to know if there's something that my clients don't love. So if you don't like being photographed from your left side, if you don't like your ears, if there are practical things like that, sure, it's helpful to know. But in trying to get to know my clients or understand them, I just want them to be seen in their most beautiful, most confident light. So part of that is taking the fear away. I mean, I understand it, you can be photographed and love the results. You can be photographed and be completely horrified. So if they already trust me and my team that we're going to create something pretty for them, then giving them an amazing experience and giving them an experience that is fun. I think most clients are very surprised at how much they enjoy being here. Like we're laughing, we're having a good time. A lot of my pictures are more serious, but it's like we have to be like, okay, stop laughing. Seriously, like we have to get shot. Like we try to just make it a really good environment. And then my hope and things that have happened in the past is a client who hated profile shots of herself. Her favorite shot from our whole session was a profile shot of herself. I'm like, yes, like I got it.
Love that.
Snuck it in there.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think the things that we perceive as vulnerabilities, I mean, sometimes there's painful stories behind them. Sometimes maybe you just haven't gotten a good shot in that direction, or you haven't grown in whatever area of your life. So we try to focus on the strengths here.
Yeah.
And then Photoshop for the rest.
I know, right? So when you're working with your clients, do you ask them specific questions? One question that I've been asking my clients that started to make a really big difference was just asking them, when you take a selfie, what side of your face is usually facing the camera? And it makes a world of difference when you're able to just know that detail. So do you have any other little tidbits that you can share with our listeners?
Yeah, so we definitely do that. But before the shoot, I actually send them a portrait questionnaire and I ask them things like, what is your favorite facial feature? Is there anything you typically don't like in photos? How do you want to be seen? And there are check boxes. Do you prefer your makeup dewy or matte? You know, I ask all these questions and it really only takes 5 minutes for the clients to fill out, but it makes sure that I'm on the same page as them. I really want to make sure that how they want to be seen is how I'm understanding it. And I keep notes from every consult call. So by the time we're at the shoot, I have their inspiration photos, I have their questionnaire, I have my notes from their call. I'm really hoping that I understand truly what it is that they're looking for at that point.
I love that. I love
and then,
it.
of course, which direction do you selfie from?
And that really just comes down to having great communication and really asking the right questions and listening to your clients. And I think that's like a gap where many photographers, you know, they don't realize the impact that it has on the session experience for the clients, but also the results in the photos too.
Absolutely. Well, and luxury for me really is about those details. I mean, you can buy $1 million car, you can buy a $20,000 car. What's the difference? It's the details. It's those little things. It's, you know, so just the client knowing that you remember, oh, they have 2 kids, or, oh, they don't like, you know, their ears, or whatever. Just that I remember that sets them apart already and lets them know that they're being seen and heard. So definitely all about that communication.
Love that. So when I was reading through your onboarding form, I had to smile because you mentioned your love of Kevin O'Coyne's book, Making Faces, because I was a makeup artist at one point in my career, and his book was really my first glimpse on how makeup could change a look so much. I really poured over this book and spent all my extra money on makeup.
So guilty of that. Yeah.
I know, it's guilty still. Can you share how those experiences, those initial first experiences, have made an impact on your style and your photography?
Yeah. So I found his book at the library. I think I was like 12. I wasn't looking for it. I just thought it was cool because I flipped through it and saw that he had turned someone into Marilyn Monroe. And I loved Marilyn Monroe. I was like, oh, I want to look at this. So I took it home and it was fascinating to me, these transformations. And some were just of, you know, women being a slightly different version of themselves, but truly transforming people into movie stars just using makeup. I just thought that was so fascinating. So my poor best friend at the time, I used her as a guinea pig with like my dollar store cosmetics and tried to recreate some of these looks with her. They were terrible, but that kind of gave me this interest in what makeup could do. And I would take, you know, the film camera that my parents let me borrow and go out into the backyard and take photos of her with this terrible makeup. We're not going to share those ever. But I just got interested in the glamour and in all of that. And I don't think I've ever left that fascination because I mean, that's why I love working with women too, is because we have so many sides that I can bring out on camera. You can have a darker look or this really sensual image. You can do something light and airy and soft. There's just so much versatility there to play with. And I love it.
I love it. Now, have you ever done a Marilyn Monroe shoot? Have you ever, because I swear you would be a perfect Marilyn, but have you ever been photographed as Marilyn, or have you ever done a Marilyn Monroe inspired shoot?
Well, I haven't, but now I feel like it's a little bit of a challenge.
I know, right?
I would love to do a Marilyn Monroe shoot. That would be amazing.
You should. I'd love to see that. Even like how you mentioned, like you could do the dark side, like the real, like Hollywood 50s glamour, or you could do the ones where she's like in the bed, just in the sheets, right?
Yes.
That'd be fun. Yeah, so fun.
She's so timeless. So timeless.
I know. So what would be your dream session and why?
Like in front of the camera or behind it?
Behind.
It's on my bucket list to go to Paris with a client and just create a ridiculously editorial shoot. I shoot in studio for the most part, which is very much on purpose because of the way my shoots are laid out and having things here in privacy for clients and air conditioning because we're in Texas and all of those things. But ever since I was little, I have wanted to take photos in Paris. Even before I was a photographer, like it was just, I don't know, I'm in love with it. So at some point that will happen and it will be amazing and stunning. And there might even be a Marilyn Monroe moment. Who knows?
I love it. Well, it's so funny. I said to my husband, because I'm turning 45 this year in November, and I said to my husband, I was like, what would you do if I just like took off and went to Paris by myself for my birthday? He's like, well, you can't do that. I just might. Right?
It's a thought. That's a thought.
So have you been to Paris?
Yes, I grew up in Germany, and I love Europe very much and miss it. And I miss how easily you can travel to other places, and just the beauty of that area is so mesmerizing to me. So
I love that. So what brought you to the Americas?
My parents were American, and it was my father's job that had us over there. So eventually we came back.
So did you go to school and get your education over there?
I started there and I finished there. I finished my university in Salzburg. So yeah, eventually I thought I'd go back to Vienna and maybe live there one day, and then you have kids and your family's here, and but we'll visit. We'll at least visit.
I love it. Well, that makes so much sense with your work and how glamorous and glitzy it is, like having that experience of growing up. You're in Europe, really, because like Europeans are pretty glitzy and glamorous, right?
Their sense of style is quite stunning.
Unreal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you've positioned yourself as a luxury brand with impeccable concierge service with celebrity clients and public figures. Now, can you share how you positioned yourself in this market and also what it's like working with famous clients?
I positioned myself there on accident. I try to give that celebrity experience to every single person who walks in the door. And I was fortunate enough to have worked with a client who knew someone else. Like for me, it's been all word of mouth. You create a good experience in a safe environment, which is huge if you are someone whose, images might need to be guarded, or who might have to be worried that if they did, let's say boudoir with you, that it would get shown and then they know that you're trustworthy, or, something like that. So once you've created some of those relationships, it's been word of mouth for me. I have had the very fortunate experience of only having wonderful clients when it comes to name recognition. Can't say a negative thing. I mean, and I wouldn't say a negative thing, but I've just had really wonderful clients. They're kind, and kindness is a huge thing for me. I don't care what you do. We're going to give you the best of what we have to offer. And when you get kindness in return, then I love you as a client forever. It doesn't matter who you are. So, I would say networking is really what has gotten me into some of those opportunities, but what we do and what we create is definitely what keeps the word of mouth going.
I love that. So did you find that the process is a little bit different with, more well-known clients, like signing NDs or anything like that? Just curious about that.
So my team has all signed non-disclosure agreements such that the set is a locked down and secure space. I've not had to sign additional non-disclosures. May have to at some point in the future, but the fact that legally we are locked down over here has so far been enough.
Yeah, love that. So can you share what you did before you were a photographer?
Yeah, so I was a public relations major. I worked on the Hill in DC on the political side of things. And I didn't know I was a creative. I had no idea why I was dying inside trying to write, paperwork every day. And I quit with really no idea what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I thought about becoming a fashion designer. Like, I can't sew or draw, so that would have been a short-lived career. I thought about makeup because of those roots with the transformations. And I kind of stumbled into photography quite by accident. So now I feel like I use my PR degree mostly to write nice captions on Instagram. But I'm grateful. I have had a lot of regret that I didn't go to art school, that I didn't start earlier, that I could be somewhere else in my career if I had gotten a different education from the get-go. But I'm really finding peace in the fact that I think you're where you're supposed to be, and you bring all of those other experiences with you. And maybe the fact that PR was an interest for me has helped with some of the client experience, or some of just what we do, in the studio. So I have to believe it all just works together to make you a really unique place for your clients to be.
I love that. So do you work with specific hair and makeup stylists that are working for you, or do you work with multiple just to make sure that it works with everybody's schedule?
I have several that I work with. A long time ago, I only worked really with one stylist. And while while that can be great if you have a good relationship, I think from a practical standpoint, if anything were to happen to that person, if that relationship, terminated for any reason, if your client just wants a different style, there's just practical reasons to have multiple stylists. So I like to have 2 or 3 that I pull from at all times. And then I can match both the personality of the client with the personality of the makeup artist, the style that I think they're going to want to go for, and then of course the availability. So I'm very selective in who I work with, but I do want there to be a few people that I have the option of requesting.
Love that. Now, with your client experience, how many images do you typically deliver to your clients? And what's the process with that? Are you doing like IPS? Are you doing, what's your process?
So we do the reveal right after the shoot. And during the shoot, I shoot tethered, and I'll cull it down to about 200 images so that they're not having to look at all, let's say 500. And then we do it immediately after the shoot that it is in person. They don't have to come back. When they leave for the day, they are done. They just have to sit back and wait for pretty things to arrive. I've tried different ways of doing it in the past, and this has been both the most relaxing for clients and the most financially beneficial for me.
Love that. Now, what I love is you've mentioned that you work with a team and you're working with a stylist. Do you have an assistant? Do you have someone to run the studio for you as well? And tell me a little bit about that luxury experience for the client with having all those extra hands.
Sure. So I have 2 assistants. I have my booking coordinator who is still in St. Louis, and she's wonderful. She's the one who handles all inquiries from the website, coordinating with my schedule, anything after the shoot that clients need. They have my cell phone. They're more than welcome to text me, but she's kind of that first point of contact. And then I have my assistant who's in the studio with me, who is incredible. She's also a videographer, so we have all kinds of added benefits and options there. And it's wonderful for clients because they are literally just getting pampered from the minute they walk in the door. We're bringing their luggage in or helping them. We're steaming their things. We're fetching their champagne. We're refilling their glass, and it's things that when I was by myself, I couldn't do. I mean, I was trying to do all of that, but I was really tired. Now I can sit down with clients and talk for a little bit once we've kind of gotten things set up, because she's able to handle some other things for me. And that's important because I want to get to know the clients and I want them to be comfortable, because the minute I lift that camera up to my face and my face is more obscured, the nerves come back. So the more that they're just kind of familiar with me and feeling comfortable with me, the better experience it is. So it's invaluable to me to have that extra set of hands, even though I could do it alone. I won't do it alone ever again.
I love it. Love it. Now, you mentioned that you also do editorial work. And what advice do you have for someone who might be wanting to break into that industry?
Assist if you can. I think there's nothing like the experience of assisting a photographer who's doing either something different or at a different level. If that's not an option, I would say collect incredible inspiration, get a model from an agency, whether you have to pay for them or they're willing to send them, and try to mood board out some things that you want to try. Editorial photography, to me, I like to say that I take editorial portraiture, but it's still portraiture. It's not a fashion editorial where you have all these stylists and scene builders and props and all these other things. You are storytelling. So being able to do it in a way that is both elaborate and shows restraint is, I feel like, the core of editorial work. You'll see photographers. I was laughing because someone that I follow who now shoots for Vogue and all these other incredible magazines, I remember when she started, like the feather lashes that she had on set. Like, she would be horrified. Like, I remember that. But her work now is just so incredible, and you see that growth. And so I think your own personal style evolving in your understanding of what's on trend and what is acceptable and what limits can you push and which ones are you going to kind of knock yourself out of the running, if you know, and some of that is just your style and what you want to do and who you know. And there's so many layers to what makes a career successful. But I would say start with pulling images that you love and start shooting. You just have to start shooting.
I love that. So when you find yourself in a creative rut, if you do, how do you pull yourself out of that?
You just shoot even though you don't want to. I mean, you have to, because if you stop moving, you stop growing, you stop progressing, you stop trying, you get afraid that the next time you do it, it's not going to work right. And I think that's one of the hardest things in the entire world, is for a creative to create when they're not feeling it. it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to manufacture inspiration. So for me, things that do help to inspire me are definitely self-care, making sure I'm taking care of myself, but going to art museums, literally just closing my eyes and listening to music that inspires me, going back and looking at art that, or even album covers from back in the day, just anything that you find interesting, anything that lights that fire within you, and then do it when you don't feel like doing it. I was listening to a snippet, I think it was Joe Rogan who interviewed like a jiu-jitsu champion recently, and he was saying he does the same thing every single day. His schedule does not vary. I think I might be butchering this, but from eating to training to all of it. And you have to be successful, because on the days that you feel like doing it, great. But there are more days when you don't feel like doing it. And if you don't do it, you're not going to be that champion. You're not going to be successful. And I think it's that much harder when it's from an inspiration standpoint, because I feel like a lot of my best work does come when I'm inspired. But I've also had really amazing pictures come from times in my own life and my own personal life when I am not inspired and I don't want to be there. I mean, clients are never going to know that, but you pull from your technical skills and then you bring the energy of the moment into it, and beautiful things happen.
I love that. That's so great. Movies. So you mentioned movies. So any favorite ones that are super inspiring to you?
So I grew up on that golden age of Hollywood. We were in Germany. That was what was available at the library. So all the old musicals, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes is like my absolute favorite movie of all time. And I love the costumes and I love the colors, and just the glam was just so wonderful back then. I mean, I'm really grateful for leggings and the ease of that too.
Right.
But I love watching those old movies and the gowns and all the things. So those are fun too. I mean, an American in Paris, just watching that ballet scene, how can you not get inspired creatively?
Yeah. I love it. Oh my goodness. You have to do Marilyn Monroe. You have to. I was like, oh, and even the one where she's in that pink dress. Remember that one? Like,
love. Oh yeah.
Right.
Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. Oh
yes. Yes.
Always.
So what are some of your biggest sources of inspiration or mentors that you may have had?
So I would say right now, most of my inspiration is not coming from photographers. It's coming from very successful entrepreneurs and motivational speakers / business owners. There was a time when I was more so looking for the inspiration to come from creatives. But when you're running a business, as much as I love my artistry, as much as I am forever trying to improve my craft, if I'm not a business first, I don't have a studio, I don't have a team, I don't have a camera, I don't have new lenses, I don't have anything. So listening to entrepreneurs like Stephen Bartlett and Jordan Peterson and Andy Frisella and is it Mel Robbins? Like I love them. I love them. Yeah. And I love how they're breaking down, because you can just say I'm tired. Well, are you tired because your business is stalled, because you're not sure of your purpose, because there's so many things to that. And so in the past, for me, when I'm stressed, I would just really kind of want to read a fiction book or something like that and just not think about my life for a second. And now I'm more so proactively, what can I do? How can I grow? How do I move past this? What's the next level? And I think what you fill your brain with, you're going to take action on. So those are the people that right now I'm really giving attention to, because I like what they have to say.
And if you haven't already, you should check out Lori Harder's podcast.
Oh, okay.
She's got a really good one, and she's funny. Like,
that's fun.
I take her on my morning walks, and then she just makes me laugh the whole time. So,
that's amazing.
That's fun. Yeah, it's
okay.
fun to check
I'm gonna
out.
look that one up.
So, what do you wish more photographers knew?
I think I wish more photographers understood the real power of what they're creating for people. We're in a weird time. It's a weird time because photography has been devalued in the sense that everyone with an iPhone is now a photographer. Every influencer is now a model. Every, visual content is so saturated that there are some people who just feel like, why would anyone pay for photos? Like, why? At the same time, you have a lot of art and artists who are being lifted up and valued, and people who do understand the value of this experience. It's not just the photos, it's the experience. Yeah. And So trying to market and figure out your business in this time, I think is multi-layered, but I wish more photographers just understood, especially when women are standing in front of their cameras, just because that's my passion. That's what I do. You're giving them something that is an interpretation of them, and there's worth attributed to that. And as someone who, when I was younger, had some male photographers just be absolute jerks to me and say horrible things that left long memories and scars, I just hope that they understand that it's a responsibility and it's an honor to photograph someone who's entrusting their vision and themselves to you. And you don't take that lightly.
Love that. That's a great answer. So what advice do you have for someone who is just getting started into photography?
Be resilient.
Yeah.
Be resilient. Don't be a perfectionist, because you're going to fail a lot before you figure it out, both in your work and in your business and how you deal with clients. Like, you're going to fail first. And I think you just have to keep getting back up. And that sounds simplistic, but I think the hardest times for me when I didn't want to get back up were when I was struggling with my art, not as much struggling with clients or business or something like that. As long as I'm passionate about what I'm creating, I can deal with a lot. But as an artist, as a temperamental artist, when I'm not loving what I'm creating, that's when it's been the hardest to keep shooting and to keep going. And even when clients were happy, if I'm just sitting there thinking, like, why can't I break through to that next level? And the truth is, you just keep shooting. And then one day you're like, oh, that's how you do that. And you get, you keep going. I think resilience for every big entrepreneur that you follow has been a key. So that's something that I would praise if someone were starting out.
I love that. One of the hardest times for me was actually, I shoot outdoors. I used to shoot outdoors a lot with the 200, which is like that big, heavy lens.
Yeah.
And I had my camera on my car seat, and there was a deer ran in front of me. I was way out rural, and my camera and my lens flew onto the floor. So after that, the lens was fine, but what had happened is, because of the impact, it had shifted the connection point. So every time I was shooting, everything was out of focus. I couldn't get it to calibrate, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I was like, I am doing everything right, and I'm not getting the right result. I was so frustrated. I went on for about 3 months. Finally, I was just like, I'm shooting over 1,500 images in a newborn session just to get like 75 that are in focus. And I'm like,
gosh, that's so frustrating.
It was so brutal. So finally I sent it to Nikon, and they're like, yeah, this is what's wrong with it. And I ended up just getting a new camera. Yeah. But holy crumb. Then that point when you're just like, so it was so low. It was such a dark time.
Yeah.
Just sucked.
I'm sorry. Sorry. That's the worst.
And I just didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
And even or even calibrating your lenses, when you're new, you don't even know you need to do that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's where resilience comes in.
Exactly. Get that up.
Yes.
So what has been the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
So it wasn't given directly to me, but I listened to something or read, I don't know, that Andy Frisella said, where he said, what you think about, dream about, talk about, and focus on will become your life. And I think that's huge when you are building something and it's in its infancy, or you're having to rebuild. Like, I've moved my studio several times, and this last time was really, really hard. And I thought, okay, 6 months in, I'll be right back to where I was. And it takes time when you're in a whole new market to literally build your studio, to rebuild your reputation. And, it takes time. And so what I think about constantly and focus on constantly is just building this into exactly what I want it to be. It's not creative specific advice, but right now I really am about business and bigger picture and mindset and focus and manifestation and just all the things. Yeah. I want to show women their beauty and their value. And that has been what motivates me, because I'm passionate about what I do. And I feel like when you empower people, you give them the courage to show more of who they really are. And so that's my goal when women walk out of here, is that they are that much more proud of themselves, that they feel a little taller, that they feel a little bit more seen, that they just have a pride in themselves. So on the days when business is hard or you're just not feeling it, I go back to, what do I want this studio to be for women? And that is a driving force for me.
I love that so much. Have you heard of Joe Dispenza at all?
No.
Joe Dispenza, I think you'd probably like him, especially if you're like into the manifesting, meditation, because basically he says your personal reality becomes your personality.
Really?
And yeah, he's just, honestly, if you have not heard of him, I would like find it's like really, really juicy stuff. He's got a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is like a great title. And it's there's actually like a lot of like quantum physics and stuff in it, which makes my brain hurt. But
but I'm an artist. I don't do math.
I know, right? I don't do math. I'm like, but honestly, if you get through the first like 3 chapters, it is a phenomenal book. I think you'll love it.
I will look that up. Thank you.
I'll make sure that's in the show notes for you listeners out there too. Are you ready for our lightning round?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Most luxurious vacation you've ever been on?
Spent a month in Europe. It was beautiful.
Yeah. What was your favorite TV show as a kid?
I Love Lucy.
Last thing you did for yourself as an indulgence?
Really good facial.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Newscaster.
Ooh. Go-to karaoke jam?
Ludicrous. Anything
nice. Nice. Now, where can our listeners learn more from you?
So on my website, especially for photographers, there is an education section, and we will be linking to my new tutorial that's going to come out this winter, which I'm so excited about. All kinds of other content is linked there, my backdrop lines and welcome packets and just, all the things. So if you're on the website, that's a good place to start.
Love it. So I love to end my interviews with this question, and it is, what are you currently curious about or artistically curious about?
I see the world in a lot of shadows. Like, a lot of my work is moodier or more dramatic. And I think because that's how I see, I've been very drawn to work lately that is, I don't mean light and airy in the sense of like when we think about outside photography that's retouched to be light and airy, but studio work that is really, really diffused and really soft and kind of the opposite of how I see. And because I'm an artist and have to be perpetually frustrated. So now I'm in the studio playing with, some different ways to create setups, because I'm not enjoying what I do unless I'm perpetually learning and challenging myself. I also create frustration for myself because I'm always like, ooh, what else can we do? But it's what keeps it interesting and fun, and why I never get bored.
I love that. I've been shooting through tulle lately. Like, I mean, just kind of making it just on the corners, just to make that haze, just on the edges. Oh, love it. Fun.
It's a beautiful, beautiful way to play.
Well, Jai, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been wonderful having you on.
I can't wait to see this and check out all of the authors that you were telling me about. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, my beautiful friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you probably adored this conversation just as much as I did. And seriously, my beautiful friends, I am sending you so much of my light and love today and every single day. We'll see you next time.